The World Racing Group has adjusted their penalties to Bobby Pierce, Devin Moran, and Kyle Bronson after they were suspended and fined following races down in Florida at Volusia Speedway Park during the DirtCar Nationals and the ensuing World of Outlaws feature. Just before we get into this, we'll go over what the initial penalties were. This is from the World of Outlaws website. This is to Bobby Pierce. He was the only one fined by World of Outlaws. Both Moran and Bronson were fined by DirtCar. The World of Outlaws officials have issued a suspension and fine to late model driver Bobby Pierce for failing a tire test after competing in the World of Outlaws Case Construction Equipment late model event on February 16, 2024 at Volusia Speedway Park. A tire sample was taken after completion of the feature at the event and sent to an independent laboratory for testing of chemically altering substances in the tires and a comparative analysis. The test revealed the tire did not match or conform to the benchmarks provided by Hoosier Tire Company. Additional analysis verified the primary laboratory findings. Due to the violation, Pierce has been disqualified from the event and fined in total $8,400, $1,000 fine, $400 tire analysis fee, and loss of $7,000 in prize money from that event, and suspended from all World Racing Group events for 30 days or the next 4 completed events in the World of Outlaws Case Construction Late Model Series schedule, whichever occurs last, and the loss of 294 series owner and driver points for the 2024 season. Similar penalties were doled out to Bronson and Moran. This is over at the DirtCar website. You can see here that due to the violation, Bronson has been fined in total $3,400, $1,000 fine, $400 tire analysis fee, and loss of $2,000 in prize money from that event, suspended from all sanctioned DirtCar racing events for 30 days. Obviously, no points fine penalties there. Moran received a similar penalty to Bronson. It says Moran has been fined in total $10,400, $1,000 fine, $400 tire analysis fee, and loss of $9,000 in prize money from that event, suspended from all sanctioned DirtCar racing events for 30 consecutive days. Now, over here on the World of Outlaws website, headline reads, Appeals Commission upholds findings and process in tire penalties. It says the World Racing Group Appeals Commission, comprised of independent industry personnel, convened on Tuesday, March 26, 2024, to hear separate appeals from Bobby Pierce, Devin Moran, and Kyle Bronson regarding penalties issued to them for tires used in competition that did not conform to the Hoosier Racing tire benchmark in February at Volusia Speedway Park. The Appeals Commission upheld the findings that after laboratory testing, each of the tires in question did not meet the benchmark, affirming at the same time the complete tire testing process and procedures employed by World Racing Group. However, the Appeals Commission weighed the statements made by the drivers and owners during the hearings on Tuesday and decided to adjust the penalties. Pierce's penalty from the February 16, 2024 World of Outlaws Late Model Series event was adjusted to a loss of purse and prize money. So he now has those points back, and he is no longer suspended for 30 days or 4 races, whichever comes last. He just loses the purse and prize money, $4,000 purse, $3,000 in Gator Championship winnings, and points earned in that race. 144. So, okay, it's confusing here. So it does look like he is still losing the points in that race. So that does make sense. Okay, instead of the 294 points, he's just losing the 144 points from that race. So that does make sense because they're basically giving him a DQ for the race. A fine of $2,000 and tire analysis fee of $400 must be paid before competing again in a World Racing Group event. And then for Moran's penalty from the February 13, 2024 DirtCar Racing Late Model Series event was adjusted to a loss of purse and prize money, $7,000 purse, $2,000 in Gator Championship winnings, a fine of $1,000, and tire analysis fee of $400 must be paid before competing again in a World Racing Group event. So the 30-day suspension has been revoked. Similarly to Bronson, obviously his fines are lower because he just didn't do as well, or he didn't win as much money. So he loss of purse money, $2,000, a fine of $1,000, and tire analysis fee of $400 must be paid before competing in a World Racing Group event. And it says all 3 drivers and crews have been placed on probation for the remainder of the season. Any subsequent violations will result in higher fines, increased points penalties, and suspension. Pending payment of their fines, all 3 drivers and teams are eligible to compete in World Racing Group events. So that is the penalty report there. We do have this video over here at Dirt Vision. It was put up last night where we get some comments from World Racing Group CEO Brian Carter regarding the Appeals Commission. Let's listen to what he had to say right here.
what are those new penalties that have been passed down to those three drivers?
Right. So the appellate board met, and we followed the process in the rule book. So the appellate board has a couple of choices. They can overturn the official's rule infraction, or they can uphold the rule infraction and then adjust the penalties, either increase them or decrease them or leave them the same. So the good thing is for all of us, we've completed that process, and we continue to learn and evolve that process from our perspective. But the appellate board listened to we all met. The appellate board, for people that don't understand, that's an independent board that is published in our rule book so that people can understand what that is. They're stakeholders in the industry that are, that can provide an independent from World Racing Group or the racers, and provide a forum for everybody to be heard. And we went through that process per the rule book, and they upheld the penalty. They looked at all of the evidence that we had for the tire not meeting the benchmark and confirmed that, and we're happy with the process. And we again continue to try to evolve that. And then they heard the teams, and the decision was made to the rule book was enforced, and the rule book, the facts were correct, and that the penalty was then adjusted based on the current context of that rule break. So it was really an interesting dialogue for the first time when the context of the tire penalty rules were established, a decade ago or more. The chemicals that were being used, I think if you listen to the context of the conversation, were very toxic and caustic and very detrimental, and not only put the people that were doing it at risk, but the layer of delamination and risk to the event and to competitors was quite a bit different than it is now. Of course, that can still happen, but I think in the context, they really started to look at it. Well, what would happen if they put the wrong tire, if they put a 1250 or some other tire on there, on a first offense kind of an approach? So I'm not, we all deliberated, we all discussed, and then the board made a decision independent of us, and they actually increased Bobby Pierce's monetary fine, but they did not include a suspension for any of these guys. So from that perspective, it's the next offense. They have asked us to take a look at the rule book to make certain that the penalties are severe enough for a repeat offender, but maybe gives an opportunity for something that, for whatever reason, I'm very confident in our ability to detect a tire that does not meet the benchmark. But to the point the tire gets to where we take control of it, I don't have any control over that process. And the competitors feel like sometimes they don't have control over that process. So I need everybody to take more control over what they have, and they can, so that we can continue to drive this out of our sport. So the good thing is for this particular case, these are all closed, and the appellate board met, and we've adjusted the penalties per the appellate board's instructions, and we move forward. And that's all we can do: move forward, learn from it, and continue to make it as best as we can.
So there you go. That is what Brian Carter had to say regarding the penalties. I think now we wait to see what happens with Bobby Pierce, Devin Moran, and Kyle Bronson, whether they continue to race with the World of Outlaws or whether they have already kind of moved on and made their decisions. It did seem like Bobby Pierce had announced that he would be no longer competing with the World of Outlaws based on the suspension. We'll see if removing or rescinding the suspension changes his opinion on that, and if he continues to race for the World of Outlaws. We did see him race in the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series at both Brownstown and Atomic this past weekend. So we'll see what exactly happens with these three drivers. Obviously, these are three of the top drivers in Super Dirt Late Model racing, but it does appear that they have significantly, I think, reduced the penalties for them, given the suspensions have been removed. They did talk about Bobby Pierce's fine was increased, so there's a little bit of a trade-off there, but obviously that point reduction was also reduced as well. Remember, it was 294, and now it's only 144. So let me know what you guys make of this new ruling from the appellate court. Let me know in the comments below.